A special teams extravaganza. The Dallas Stars absolutely embarrass the Minnesota Wild on the road. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joe Erickson, former producer of 105.3 The Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Be sure to subscribe, never miss an episode. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. The Dallas Stars score 7 special teams goals to defeat the Minnesota Wild. I should say destroy the Wild in their own barn as the Stars complete a perfect road trip as they go 3 for 3 and come back home with 6 points. An amazing effort. Best game of the season for the Dallas Stars. They become the 6th team in NHL history to score 7 special teams goals in a game. The first time since the Maple Leafs did it back in 2005. 5 power play goals. There's the power play, ladies and gentlemen. They just needed to go back to Minnesota where they left it, I guess, last spring. 2 shorthanded goals for good measure as well, just because the Stars wanted to stick the knife in and twist it a bit more. An incredible game. I was at the affair and I was basking in the moans and groans of the Wild faithful as the Boo Birds came out in Minneapolis, or I should say St. Paul, as the horn sounded to end the 8-3 shellacking for the Dallas Stars. We're going to touch on everything. There's plenty to get into, but today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Boom, bing, bong. Stars fans, what a game. Right off the hop. It feels like this one was a long time coming. They were moving in the right direction. It was about time that the power play got going. And on the back end of a back-to-back, you don't know what team you're going to get. You would have had no idea. They came out off the hop. Big shout out to Radek Faksa, Craig Smith, and Sam Steele. They set the tone for the night. First shift of the game. They got the puck in deep and went to work. And the Stars forechecked hard. Minnesota was creating a lot of turnovers, a lot of bonehead mistakes. They were in the offensive zone for a long stretch of time. That allowed the first line to come out. They draw a penalty, and then boom, Joe Pavelski strikes right away. And the power play just rolled from there. 5 power play goals, as I mentioned. And it was a shellacking. Jason Robertson with a couple of power play goals. He has a 3-point night. Miro Heiskanen was all over the ice. He has a 3-point night. Wyatt Johnston, a shorthanded goal. A power play goal as well for his 3-point night. I mean, everybody had their hands on this one. And it was right off the hop. Pete DeBoer talked about it after the game. Seems like it's the same story. They take stupid penalties. We make them pay. Marc-Andre Fleury got the start. He did not get a lot of help. Minnesota with a lot of mistakes and giveaways. And you have to give the Stars credit. They capitalized almost every single time as they put up 8 goals on Marc-Andre Fleury. The PK just continues to be brilliant. They go 4 for 5. They gave up a goal to Zuccarello in the second period. But other than that, they were great. And, of course, it was pretty much a wash as they scored 2 shorthanded goals. The one from Radek Faksa was great. Just a bad turnover from Minnesota, and then he buries it 5-hole. Wyatt Johnston at the end of the game was just a complete dagger. If it could not get any worse for Minnesota, Jamie Benn just sauntering his way through center ice. Too wild to go to him. Here, I'll lay it off for my boy Johnston. Let the kid bury it too, as he completes a wonderful road trip too. Back-to-back games with a shorthanded goal. And the dagger in this one was in the third period. I know it was still a game, but as soon as the Wild score from Duchene, it's a bad giveaway from Lundqvist. I'll let him have that one, okay? As Duchene buries it on the backhand, like 15 seconds later, Matt Duchene, right off the hop, gets his goal, and the Stars go up 3-1. And the building just, it just went from 100 to 0 at a snap of the fingers. And the Stars just kept on rolling from there. A fun game, 5 for 8 on the power play. They scored as many goals on the man advantage in that game as they did for the entirety of the season. And it was good to see. They absolutely needed it, of course. They were buzzing. On the power play alone, they had 15 scoring chances. Some individuals had 9, 7 scoring chances. Tyler Seguin had like 13 in the contest, and they were just winning a ton of net front scrambles. And I mentioned this after the game against Winnipeg. They won a lot of those battles, the scrums for loose pucks in front of the net, and they did that against Minnesota. Look, a lot of their goals were, 5 to 10 feet in front of the goal mouth, in front of Fleury. They just won battles, and it's not like the Wild aren't there. Not all of all the Stars in a white shirt were all alone, is what I was trying to say. There's bodies in front of it, and they're just hungrier. They're just winning puck battles. The Robertson goal, his first power play goal of the night. Pavelski, of course, in front to start the scoring. Duchene has leverage in front on his goal. Wyatt Johnston on the power play found a little soft spot, and there's 2 guys in front of them. They just were getting leverage and winning these net front scrambles, and they were hungry to pucks, and they got rewarded for it. You take a look at the heat map. There's 3 goals, 3 G's right on top of the crease. That's the story of the game. And of course, it helped getting the 5-minute major at the end of the second period. Hopefully Harley's okay. We're going to get an update on him later today. Hopefully he's not going to be missing for an extended period of time. There was some blood as he was heading off the ice. Hopefully it had to do with more of the score and the situation of the game. Maybe they didn't need him back. If it was closer, maybe he does come back. I don't know. That's just speculation. We'll get a more concur update here later on today. But just a great effort from everybody. The Seguin Marchment line and Duchene is, Duchene is $3 million. $3 million. He could have gone anywhere, and he comes to Dallas. He completes a 6-point road trip. He's up to 11 points, and he's just so dynamic. And all of a sudden, Marchment and Seguin are elite players. He's made him so good. They were just so good in the dots too, which was a huge difference. They won 60% of their draws. A good road trip, at least against Winnipeg and Minnesota in that aspect. They just did so many good things. They got off to a good start. Most first period goals they've scored all year. They are able to cash in for 3. They go for 3 in the third period as well, as they just put the game away. But Radek Fox with his first of the game. Dodonov gets in on the party too. But good to see Robertson get going a little bit. He has a 3-point night. Miro, of course, if you look at the impact scores, the hockey stat cards they have, Miro is just, incredible the night he had on the defensive end, on the offensive end. And of course, if the power play's going, he's going. He's going to facilitate a lot of it. And he spoke post-game just trying to simplify a bit. And it was. It's just pounding from straight away. Get the puck in net. You have Pavelski in front. You're going to get tips. You're going to get opportunities, rebounds. There was a ton of rebounds left, and they end up getting the job done. Also have to touch on Jake Oettinger. He was very solid. I think he was a bit shaky at first. Maybe the nerves of being back at home got to him at some points because his rebound control wasn't phenomenal off the hop. There was a lot of scrums in front too, but the Stars did well boxing out. They helped him out. He gave up a few goals early, and then he really settled in. And in the third period, he was pretty much lights out as Minnesota was trying to mount a comeback. Obviously, it was pretty much out of reach at that time. But Oettinger makes 23 saves on the 26 shots he faced. He picks up his 5th win against the Wild in his home state. A great effort, and it brings together a complete sweep on the road. 3 for 3 against Columbus, and then on a back-to-back against Winnipeg and Minnesota. 2 back-to-backs this year. They've taken all 4 games, which is very, very hard to do. And they've looked really, really good. And it felt like there was an explosion waiting to happen. And boom, the extravaganza explodes. And they do it on the road against Minnesota. And of course, nobody in that building likes them. They ended their season last year. You were expecting a really, really big response from Minnesota. And they touched on it. Look, they're going to chase hits. They're going to take penalties. We got to make them pay. And it was a power play that was struggling. It was also a PK that wasn't very good, was less than desirable as well. And they made him pay. And it was a rout in Minneapolis. And it was fun to be a part of. It really was, to say the least. Okay, the Stars are wagon, ladies and gentlemen. Your first place Dallas Stars in the Central Division. Let's touch on the wagon that is the Dallas Stars a bit more here in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. What a novelty idea, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That is ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. The first place Dallas Stars are off to a wonderful start as they pick up their 10th win last season. They are now 10-3-1, 21 points atop of the Central Division. And this is what we were waiting to see from the Stars. Maybe they just needed another road trip under their belts to fully realize their potential. And 7 special teams goals. That doesn't happen too often. It does not happen too often. And it was just a complete destruction from Dallas in St. Paul. And it was glorious to be a part of, to say the least, as they pick up a complete game road trip, 3 for 3. And I mean, it's really spearheaded by guys like Wyatt Johnston. By the way, check out the last episode about Wyatt. I called him a superstar because he is. And he's up to 13 points, 7 goals, 6 assists so far on the year, 5 points on his road trip. Matt Duchene, it was great, 6 points. Of course, he missed the game against Boston on Monday, comes back, and he's an immediate factor. It was just scoring chances galore. Miro played 21 minutes. He had 18 scoring chances himself, and he was great defensively. Ryan Suter and him were great too. Lindell had a really, really great night as well. Obviously, it helps when you're playing with a lead, but he was just so effective. And a game like that can be very difficult too. Like with a special teams game like it was, I mean, there was 30 penalty minutes, and the Stars were on the job for so much of the game. like, look, Miro's going to get a ton of time after that. Lundqvist is going to get more being on power play too. Guys like Lindell and Hakanpää aren't going to get to play that much. That's just the law of the letter, right? You're going to put your guys, especially the way they were rolling, and it's kind of hard to find a rhythm. And guys just kind of jumped in as it went. And look, I mean, being up that much makes it very easy, but they did a great job. Some defensive plays. Miro on a 2-on-1 shorthanded just completely neutralized it. Like, thanks for coming. That was great. But Lindell had a great couple poke checks. There was one in the third where Minnesota was entering the offensive zone, just gets a stick on puck, boom, clear it down the ice. Great PK work too. I mean, you got to give them credit there. They go 4 for 5. They had to kill their fair share. Otherwise, it could have been a very, very interesting game. But 37 shots from Dallas. They outshot the Wild in the third period, 12-5. Of course, they carried over that 5-minute power play into the third period. But big shout out on the Dots, man. It's just a big indicator for this team. They're so good. 41-22. They almost doubled them up. They doubled up Winnipeg yesterday, or almost did again. Good to see them getting back to that kind of identity of their game, because it's so big, especially in terms of possession. It helps their 5-on-5 game. They didn't have to play a ton of 5-on-5 minutes, but when they did, man, they were just all over them. And look, Minnesota has not played well. They need a lot of production from everybody else. They're not getting it right now. And good for the Stars not allowing them to find it, right? They came into their own building on a back-to-back, and they hammered them. Like they could have easily laid down and be fine with having 2 games of the 3 on the road trip. And that's the type of desire and really just the type of heart you need from your team if you want to win big games in this league. And I think it's just a great sign moving forward. It's a great sign moving forward that they relish the opportunity to go into a rival's building. They ended their season last year and bury them. I mean, it's such a good sign, because they could have just laid down and allow Minnesota, who's been kind of wavering, go in there, beat them on home. XL is a passionate place. That place buzzing. I'll tell you that. It's a great barn. They love their Wild, obviously, and to quiet them early like they did and get the job done was excellent. So 21 points in the Central Division. They're trying to separate themselves right now, but a beautiful, beautiful effort in Minnesota. So Robertson picks up a 3-point night. He's been more of a facilitator this year, but he's quietly got 5 goals now in the 14 games. He's got 8 assists, and they were working him on his off wing a bit more here. That was one change I saw. They were working on, especially on the power play. He was on the left side, usually sets up on that one-timer on the on the right side, and that seemed to get him going. Maybe they put him a bit more on the move, having him crisscross with Miro up top and just get him some shooting lanes. He was very patient as well, but that seemed to get him going, not just setting him up on the right circle because guys were taking him away. They started to move him around a bit more and get into some areas that teams haven't seen him at. And maybe it discombobulated Minnesota a bit. And also he was hungry in front of the net. The bomb from Miro that caroms off the end wall comes out in front. That's just great hard work from Robertson crashing the net. And he's got a loose puck lingering there. It's gift wrap. All he's got to do is send it home. And he did. So I enjoyed that. They changed that bit up a bit. It looked like on the man advantage. Great adjustments, right? We've seen it for 13 games. It hasn't been working. Move them around, get some different looks, show some different looks, and get some pucks towards the net. And that was the main key, was just getting pucks to the netminder, create havoc in front. You got great net front players, and they won so many of those battles, those net front scrambles. And like I mentioned earlier, they're not alone. They're being defended, and they're just harder. They're harder on pucks, and they're getting to those opportunities, creating second chance opportunities for themselves and you cash in on a few of those, you're going to be a good team. And we're seeing the fruits of everybody being healthy and rolling 4 lines and playing strong, stingy defense. This team has a lot of great qualities, and we've been a bit hard on them because the expectations are pretty high. But this team's better than last year. The personnel is. Duchene adding to that third line's the X factor to win the cup. He really is. Craig Smith has been a great addition. Sam Steele's been playing great. I would rather see Dellandrea, but don't broke what ain't broken, or I should say, don't fix what ain't broke. Is the cliche there. And a great road trip for the Dallas Stars. Speaking of a great road trip, who is your star of the road? Let's show some love to some individuals on this 3-game road trip as they bring 6 points back home to Dallas as they prepare for Arizona tomorrow night. Star of the road in the comments. Let me know, and we'll do that in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Sleeper. Jason Robertson may score 50 goals. The Dallas Stars may hoist the Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number 1 choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Look, not everybody wants to sit and play fantasy week after week, especially hockey. It can be hard. We've all done it before. You're constantly having to make lineups. You're constantly having to figure out who's injured, picking up on the waiver. Play daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper, and you don't have to just play the NHL. You got the NFL, of course, that's in full swing. You have the NBA now. You have college football. There's so many different options, and it's easy. The app is very, very functional. You can play with the group. You can play with just randoms, and it's easy to play. And all you have to do is pick studs. You can just pick guys like Wyatt Johnston, more or less on certain statistics, goals, plus, minus, assists. All you got to do is pick more or less, and you can win 100 times bet on Sleeper. You need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. As I mentioned, you heard me, Stars fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. Who is the star of the road on the latest road trip for the Dallas Stars? There are a few that come to mind, and I want to know your take. Please let me know in the comments who was your star of the road. 6 points in the bank. First place, Dallas Stars. I'm going to say it every episode until they're not. So just get used to it. You're going to be hearing a lot of it. As the Stars prepare for Arizona tomorrow. Now they have a stretch of 5 home games, which is good. Hopefully they can bring home the bacon in that aspect. Wyatt Johnston comes to mind, of course. He had 5 points, and Matt Duchene are the two that really stand out to me. I'm going to go with Matt Duchene this time around. As much as I've been praising Wyatt Johnston, look, this episode, if you're looking for me to grind on the details and the mistakes that were made in the contest, this is not the episode for you. This is a complete praising, only love for the Dallas Stars. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming of being a bit nitpicky another time. This is not the time to do that, as they scored 7 special teams goals and 2 shorties. I'm going with Matt Duchene, though. 6 points on the road trip, 2 GWGs, and his goals come right in front of the goal mouth. Great setups. 1 from Wyatt Johnston. By the way, I know things are humming right now. I would love to see Wyatt Johnston and Duchene on a line. Just going to throw that out there. It's a short sample size, and there may be some recency bias allowed with that, but those two would be very nifty together, I have to say. 6 points, 2 GWGs. Matt Duchene is my star of the road trip. He's worth every penny. Like he was expensive anyways, but worth every penny. He comes to Dallas. He elevates the play of Mason Marchment and Tyler Seguin. I know some of you mentioned he just must be a Marchment whisperer. We saw Marchment without him. It wasn't very pretty. He comes back. Boom. That line is buzzing once again. And that line in general had a phenomenal road trip. I'll have to tally all the points there because Seguin had 4 on the road trip. So that's 10 right there. Marchman, I believe, had 3 or 4. So 13 points from that line in general. I've seen the machine gun line is what I've heard, which I really like. Shout out to one of you Locked On Stars stands. I know someone brought that up, the machine gun line. I'll start making it a thing for you because you mentioned it, and they went off 12 points from the line combined, the machine gun line. I may have been butchering that. Either way, they fire at rapid speed, and they contribute, and they're very productive. As Dallas with an 8-3 complete destruction of Minnesota on the road. They dismantled the Wild in their own barn, and they come back home with 6 points and an opportunity to take home another one tomorrow night against Arizona. We'll break it down tomorrow, of course, previewing that. That's a dangerous team, okay? Sometimes you come back home after these long road trips, you lay an egg. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and you take home another 2 points. We'll touch on that, of course, tomorrow. Be sure to take a listen to yesterday's episode as well. It was a bonus episode, I should say, on Wyatt Johnston and how incredible he is. That's a shameless plug for calling him a superstar, and he comes out and has a 3-point night against Minnesota. By the way, thank you so much. Another week here on Locked On Stars. Hopefully everybody had a very, very wonderful weekend. It was a great weekend in DFW once again. And thank you so much for all your engagement, your support. I've been having a ton of fun doing this podcast. Be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Just want to thank everybody for allowing me to come on here and relish in this victory. We'll get nitpicky another time, okay? But it was awesome. It was awesome. That'll be the headline today. Just awesome experience. And it was just so fun to be at a game. I'm not going to be able to go to too many games this year, so just to be in that environment on the road too, man. You don't make a lot of friends, and you can really relish that fact. But Matt Duchene, my star on the road. The Stars are a wagon first place in the Central Division. 7 special teams goal, the 6th team to ever do that in NHL history. They go 5 for 8 on the power play. Thanks for coming. 2 shorthanded goals, and that will do it. Be sure to follow me on the Twitter thingy at X, JoeyTheJet19. You can catch me there. We'll do more stuff, more coverage, of course, and we'll be tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow, of course, so be on the lookout for that. Previewing the Arizona Coyotes. The Stars are back home. For now, enjoy your Monday. Get off to a good start this week, and we'll keep on rolling, baby. So long, Stars fans.